Alien Romulus takes another crack at it. Pete and Joseph get brutalized, and the gang says goodbye to a legend.
Oh, it's time for class.
Class is in session!
Roll call!
Bueller?
I'm gonna be late for class.
Bueller?
Am I hallucinating here? Just what in the hell do you think you're doing?
Late shows.
You are mine now. You belong to me.
Did you study for the test?
No more complaining. No more Mr. Kimblett to go to the bathroom. Nothing. There is no bathroom.
Hello, classmates. Welcome to another episode of Middle Class Film Class. I'm your host for today, Pete.
And I'm Tyler.
And I'm Joseph.
Thank you, Count Tyler. And we have a great show for you today. Welcome to everybody on YouTube Live and otherwise, and of course the OG audio-only classmates out in podcast land. And a special shout out to Binge Lord Dan in the chat, who is on his deathbed.
Dying as we speak.
Wait, he's dying?
He's withering away. Where's the sad violin music? He's a shrunken, a shriveled shell of his former self.
I did hear the bird flu was going around.
Oh no, we got the flu. You got the BF.
He's all perched up like a Victorian child.
He's like the
hands across his chest.
He's like the Raven from the Edgar Allan Poe poem.
The Raven. The Raven was dying in that poem.
I don't know.
The Raven?
The titular Raven. Yeah, so welcome back, Tyler.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's
how's your mouse problem?
Oh god. Oh, well, it's solved.
It's solved. You took care of it?
I did.
You yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He got a comically large mallet, and every time he put a piece of cheese in front of the hole in the baseboard of the wall.
Imagine the whole time.
It was actually a little bit more macabre than that, but
it was like the movie Mouse Hunt.
You're on the right track, but it was a lot more macabre and emotionally.
What are you cursing the mice?
I mean, it was
he put a spell on them.
No, it was just I felt like a serial killer taking care of that problem.
Oh,
so
okay,
yeah,
I don't know what that. I don't want to press for any further.
At the end of the day, you gotta kill the mouse.
I mean that's fine. We don't have to go into further detail on how I took care of it, but they were.
Was it just one mouse?
No,
just causing you problems. It was Jerry or Tom.
There was a ton of them.
It was Jerry.
No, it wasn't a ton, but yeah,
hundreds of mice.
It was 100. I would have been a shell of a man if I had to take care of 100 mice. That was not fun. But anyways, it's great. I'm really glad to be back.
Good. How'd you like Mystery Men? We want to hear your Mystery Men.
You watch it?
Take.
Did not watch it.
Oh,
I tried to watch.
Shocker.
You
tried to watch it.
No, I mean, I tried to watch it, but again, the aforementioned mice problem got in the way.
They chewed your TV, your computer monitor cord.
It's a full-time job.
No, it just it happened during, and there was others. I had a emotionally tumultuous time last week, and so I apologize to the classmates for not showing up, but
it's okay.
I'm here. And I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, welcome. We got chat's full. We got Bruce, Binge Lord Dan, and Heather in the chat.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Two's a party, three's a crowd.
That's right. If you're only listening on the audio only, you're missing out all kinds of fun on the YouTube channel. For one, you get to see Tyler's the Cryptid Mash t-shirt.
Oh yeah, it's a sweater I got for Christmas last year.
It's like the Monster Mash.
Mm-hmm. It has but instead of the Mothman, it's a Moth Woman, and I gotta say, like she looks dynamite. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah.
I like the little logo of the Loch Ness Monster in the corner too.
Yeah.
She doesn't shave her armpits.
No, she doesn't.
Very progressive.
Just the way I like it.
That's right. Tyler likes the 70s look.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well,
absolutely.
Here we are on the eve of the supposed TikTok ban.
Oh, yeah.
On January 19th. It's allegedly being banned in the U.S.
I mean, I don't even know how I'm going to watch movies again.
That's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
We were like,
you'll never see The Brutalist now.
I know. What did you say? Like 900 1-minute clips?
945-second clips, yeah.
A 3.5 hour movie is definitely going to take, it's a lot of uploads.
It's weird that they left like the 27 45-second clips of the intermission.
Oh, yeah.
There's an intermission in the movie?
Yeah,
Nice.
there's a 15-minute intermission, which I'm pretty sure it's built into the run time.
It is built into the runtime.
Oh, okay.
So on the physical release, will it be like a 2-disc thing? Or
Probably not.
Will it be like one disc with the 15-minute intermission? Or will
Probably
they just
the intermission.
exclude that?
Probably the intermission, because when I watched the special edition Fiddler on the Roof recently, preparing for my spot on Close Watch with Robert Yanez Jr., they had the intermission built into it, and it's music and stuff.
Yeah.
And it makes sense for the story, too.
And there's like a picture.
Yeah, it makes sense in the story
Yeah.
concept. But,
So I guess we'll see. But to show some solidarity with our social media ally of TikTok, we will be moving all of operations to China.
yes. Yes.
I've already downloaded Duolingo, Starling Mandarin, and Cantonese.
Sure.
Yeah. Ni hao.
Yeah. Ryan's loving this right now, by the way.
But yeah, so we'll be transporting everything here from California, shipping it to the east,
The far
China.
east.
Yeah, very far east.
Yeah.
And we'll be operating out of there now.
We're going to change the name too. It's not going to be Middle Class Film Class. It's going to be Most Glorious Leader Film Class.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Dear Leader and Film Class Lessons.
Okay.
The translation sounds a little rough, but when you say it here in the native Mandarin, it's appropriate.
I bet it looks cool in Chinese characters.
Probably.
Yeah. So, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to ditch the follow us on TikTok.
Yeah. So supposedly what it is that it's just not going to be available in the App Store to download anymore. If you have it now, you'll still have it. But as updates come, you won't get the updates.
It'll just be less and less usable.
It's like the people who are still using Windows 95. Eventually, you just can't run any new programs on it.
Yeah.
The theory, one of the theories is that like Trump's going to come in and save it at the very last second.
Oh, I see. Oh, Elon's going to... I'm going to buy that too and make it great, just like Twitter.
And then
just going to fuck it up.
no one's going to use it out of spite because of that.
Yeah. Or it's just going to be, oh, hey, Joel's in the chat. What's up, buddy? It's going to be even worse.
Hell yeah.
And it's just going to turn into a right-wing echo chamber like Twitter did.
Yeah. I think
God.
that I don't know. I don't care, honestly. Like
It affects you the most.
I know. You're the one who lives on it.
I don't. I know it, but at the same time, I've already accepted the passing of TikTok.
What's the new one? Red something?
Red Note.
Can you play the music, please? Red.
Yeah.
We here at Middle Class Film Class are huge proponents of Red Note, and we think
are?
Yes, our dear leader and his infinite wisdom bringing Red Note to our Purple Mountain's majesty is much appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
Yeah, I've heard that the developers over there like have, because of the influx of TikTok refugees, they've had the app was catered to primarily a Chinese audience.
Mm-hmm.
So like the language is already like when you first get it, it's already in Mandarin.
They're working overtime to get the English.
And there's an English setting, but you have to navigate to it.
In Mandarin.
Yeah. So now I think they are making it more English friendly.
Yeah,
But
I think they're anticipating.
Oh, the locals are gonna riot. They're not gonna like that.
But yeah, I'm gonna have so much free time on my hands.
Yeah, not me. I don't do Minecraft. So I don't do TikTok. I just do Minecraft.
Yeah.
So that's absorbed all my
Next
time.
on the docket, banning Minecraft.
What the fuck? No, this is we riot if that happens.
Yeah, they're gonna bring back actual mines and put kids in there.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's if that's the future that's ahead of us, I'm revolting.
Yo, you like Minecraft so much? Why don't you go marry a mine?
If you like Minecraft so much, why don't you work in a mine?
Why don't you get with the miner? Wait, that sounds weird.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyways, I guess let's get into some actual Gab Chatter then, shall we? Ooh, coming
Find
hot.
some charity, you lad. Now's the time for Gab Chatter.
Gab Chatter, movie news of the week. Tyler, what do you have for us today?
I was really struggling trying to find a news story, but I think what's really on our minds, on the forefront of everyone who loves cinema and the entertainment industry, David Lynch is no longer with us.
Yes, he's a formerly alive person.
And so I wanted to talk about his career and ask you guys what your favorite David Lynch movie is.
Mm-hmm.
And before we get into that, I do have a quote
Okay.
that I wanted to read that I thought was pretty insightful, I guess you could describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull it up here. That stupid website freaking went all the. Okay, here
That's
we
the
go.
quote.
That's the quote. So he's quoted on saying, "We all want expanded consciousness and bliss. It's a natural human desire, and a lot of people look for it in drugs. But the problem is that the body, the physiology, takes a hard hit on drugs. Drugs injure the nervous system, so they just make it harder to get those experiences on your own. I have smoked marijuana, but I no longer do. I went to art school in the 1960s, so you can imagine what was going on. Yet my friends were the ones who said, 'No, David, don't you take those drugs.' I was pretty lucky. Besides, far more profound experiences are available naturally. When your consciousness starts expanding, those experiences are there. All those things can be seen. It's just a matter of expanding that ball of consciousness. And the ball of consciousness can expand to be infinite and unbounded. It's totality. You can have totality. So all those experiences are there for you without the side effects of drugs." And I thought it really speaks to the character of David Lynch, because when you for a layman who isn't really familiar with David Lynch or really understanding like the complexity of human behavior, it could seem like, oh, well, he was just high on drugs or something like that. Like he was on acid.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think him saying that really kind of, for me, it really explains how David Lynch embraced I don't even want to say weirdness, but embraced his creativeness in a way where it's unabashed. He was just unequivocally creative.
I think that
individualistic.
I think that there's people talk about like unique voices, and like David Lynch was a true one of one. There will never be anyone like him again.
Right.
And it's like I'm a product of the things around me. I, absorb pop culture and spit it out in different versions. And it's like if you truly think about yourself and creative endeavors and stuff, it's very rare to have a truly wholly 100% original concept and idea and execution on things. And he was that like start to finish.
Yes.
Every project he had was just like, about the only thing that you can think of that was derivative would be something like Elephant Man, and it was his 100% own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like showing the world that I could make a real movie, a regular movie, quote unquote, if I want to, but that's not what I want to do. And then the straight story, his one he made for Disney.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Which is just it's a great movie, and it's wild in its execution, but yeah, he really is a one of a kind.
So yeah, I thought that he like you just said, he had a very unique voice in the world of cinema. He'll be very missed. One of the things that at the end of his life, he talked about smoking and how he had an affinity for smoking cigarettes.
And that's what took him.
He said, he liked the smell, he liked the taste, he liked the way how it looked when you smoked a cigarette, and he was not. He accepted, like, I did this to myself, like that, like I know this was the cause of his disease. He died of emphysema.
Emphysema.
Oh, emphysema. Sorry. Oh, jeez. And he was very blunt about his about the cause of the disease. That
You want me to read the quote?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is from August 5th of last year. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, I have emphysema from my many years of smoking. I have to say that I enjoyed smoking very much, and I do love tobacco, the smell of it, lighting cigarettes on fire, smoking them. But there is a price to pay for this enjoyment, and the price for me is emphysema. I have now quit smoking for over 2 years. Recently, I had many tests, and the good news is that I'm in excellent shape except for emphysema. I'm filled with happiness, and I will never retire. I want you to all know that I really appreciate your concern. Love, David.
Yeah, I remember reading that and just thinking, this man, he knows who he is, and he ain't gonna change.
Reminds me of a warrior, death by sword, died in battle.
Yeah.
But this is his own personal choice.
Well, I mean, I feel really bad that he's gone, but he left a body of work that we can all enjoy.
He felt like a true creative person, somebody who obviously had something to say and didn't care about how he told it. Like he wanted to tell it as true to himself as he wanted to tell it.
Yeah.
And while his movies, for me, are not like something I'm like looking for or after, except for maybe like something like Mulholland Drive, which I liked a lot. I think him as a person, just being someone for the arts and coming from like this starting in the 70s to now, being that influence for so many other people in so many other mediums of art. And another quote from David Lynch that I like a lot, and that Rick Rubin also has a similar idea. But he likens ideas to fish, and his quote is, ideas are like fish. If you want to catch little fish, you can stay in the shallow water. But if you want to catch the big fish, you've got to go deeper. Down deep, the fish are more powerful and more pure. And essentially he's just saying that ideas, and Rick Rubin as well, I guess, ideas aren't like created by somebody. Ideas already exist in the world. And if you're somebody who doesn't go for whatever idea, somebody else is going to go for it.
Yeah.
Somebody else is going to do it.
Also, it's risky out in the water.
Yeah. Somebody else is going to catch that fish that you aren't willing to catch.
Yeah.
I like that idea. I like that concept a lot. And he has another quote, something about, he was asked by somebody, and like he was doing like a panel or something, and somebody asked him about like, does anybody ever ask you about like, or tell you about like how your movies don't make any sense or anything like that? Like, what do you say to people like that? And his response was something like, it was like movies that tell you, or stories or movies that tell you
how to feel,
tell you the plot isn't, and this is obviously paraphrasing, like isn't good art or isn't effective or isn't true art or something like that. I think that movies that require like humans have intuition, and using intuition to interpret whatever art.
I think I remember that.
That's the answer to whatever question the movie is presenting to you, is your own intuition.
It's kind of interesting because when you think about different forms of art, movies are about the only thing that you can like really specifically give somebody like, this means this. You can draw a straight line to it if you make it in a very specific way, where you see a painting on a wall, no one's like, well, what's it mean?
Yeah.
One of Tyler's favorite painters, Claude Monet, is like, what's a great painting from Monet that you like?
I mean, I couldn't tell you any
Just
titles.
But what are they of?
But I mean, like,
what are they of?
It's mostly nature scenery.
Yeah, it's like flowers and like a scenescape. It's like, what does that mean, Tyler?
Well, I think for myself, when I look at Claude Monet paintings, it's more so about the interpretation of the perspective of what he's painting, because he would paint outside. He would paint like on boats.
A lot of his stuff looks like he's looking at the ground too.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool because it fills the entire frame with the flowers.
I mean, I don't think that there's. I mean, this is kind of like with Lynch movies as well. Is like, I think it's up to the viewer of the art, of the perspective, like to make sense of what you think it is. So like for me, for example, for like like a Claude Monet picture, I imagine myself when I would like go and just space out at the river and just like stare at the water and stuff. That to me is like,
it transports you to a different time and evokes a memory.
Exactly.
And it's like, that's Lynch in itself too. There's things in his movies that I'll never understand, but I watch it and I'm like, it's like forcing me to think about something. And it's done in a way that it's like, it doesn't feel phony.
It doesn't feel pretentious.
It doesn't feel pretentious. It doesn't feel like he's being weird for the sake of being weird.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like most people would at first glance might think that.
Yes.
And I don't know. There's no rhyme or reason behind it. You can't put a recipe behind it. The secret sauce is him.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. He's just unequivocally creative, and for the fact that he was able to have a platform, what is just a miracle for our Western culture.
Yeah, I want to share one memory from David Lynch's catalog. When I was about, it's got to be 13, maybe 12, 13. Mm-hmm. Me and my buddy Damon would ride bikes around town. We had a big group of people that would ride bikes around town. But I remember going over to Damon's grandparents' house on the opposite side of town a lot, and his grandparents were always home, and it was kind of a safe place for us to crash, before going off to the next thing. And we'd stay the night there sometimes. And I remember one night they had like HBO and Cinemax and all those kind of paid channels, movie channels. And we were flipping through the channels trying to find something racy to watch one night, after the grandparents had gone to sleep. And Blue Velvet comes on the screen, and it's, we don't know anything about the movie, and we're like, Blue Velvet, that sounds sexy.
Yeah,
it
does. I would have thought the same thing at 13 years
because
old.
A lot of the other stuff was like, HBO's real sex.
Yeah,
and you'd watch it, and it was just like people talking about a blowjob they gave somebody one time in the back of a cab.
Yeah, or like Zoftic women in a sex camp.
Yeah, so. Anyways, so we put on this movie, flip through the channels, we get to this movie, and it's the scene where Kyle MacLachlan is in the closet watching Dennis Hopper's character have his breakdown while he's on amyl nitrate.
Yeah.
Huffing amyl nitrate. And I'm going to play the audio. We don't have the I don't want to do the video clip, but it's this exact part that we walked in on. Used. She seems to be enjoying it. She just got punched in the face. And he's shouting at her vagina.
Mm-hmm.
Baby, what's blue velvet?
Yeah.
And it goes on like that. You can imagine where it goes.
I'm about
from
to
there.
have the hardest boner right now.
I mean, that's how I make love to all of my women.
Yes,
poor women.
Those poor women. Those poor women.
That's poor. They're gonna kill that poor woman.
Yeah.
But we quoted that line for fucking years because we were so.
What, baby wants to fuck?
No, don't look at me, don't you fucking look at me.
Oh, okay.
And we were just so confused over what this was that we had watched. And years later, when we watched it and for the show, I was like, oh, it doesn't make any more sense in context except for that he's a psychopath.
Yeah.
And he's got this mommy complex. But
yeah,
it was effective to a young Pete and Damon.
Yeah. Well,
we changed it before the scene even ended.
You changed it?
Yeah, we changed the channel.
You'd finished the movie?
We're like, this is not what we're looking for.
Yeah.
I kind of turned on, but I'm kind of scared.
I kind of want to go punch a woman right now. We were definitely afraid his grandma was going to walk in at that moment and be like, "What are you watching? You fucking perverts! You're here."
But that's, you know what, that's actually funny because I feel like a grandma would walk in and be like, "What the fuck are you?"
Oh, Blue
watching?"
Velvet.
I know. He's like, that reminds me of you and me and your grandfather. That's how we met.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to say about David Lynch?
Well, I wanted.
Lynchian.
I was, and again, yeah. I mean, that's in the cultural zeitgeist.
Don't worry, Grandma. It's Lynchian.
Yeah.
Well, I think my favorite David Lynch movie is Wild at Heart with my Laura Dern and Pete's Nicolas Cage.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I saw that movie was a spectacular memory that I'll never forget was at the Red Museum when they would have the movie nights there. I think it was one of the first movies I saw there. Or no, it wasn't one of the first, but it was definitely one of the first times I saw it. It was one of the first movies I saw there. And I remember just like being in awe of it because it's hard to even say David Lynch movies are weird. I mean, like on paper, I guess on screen in this context, that you can say it's weird, But if you're into it, it's an experience, and it's a good one.
And I'm into that scene.
And I'm into it. But I wanted to ask you guys what your favorite David Lynch movies are. So Wild at Heart is mine.
You already said Mulholland Drive.
Mulholland. Oh yeah, Mulholland Drive is really good.
Mulholland Drive. Yeah,
that was for Jack.
Mulholland Drive.
I don't know what my favorite one is. I mean, I got maybe Mulholland Drive. Definitely not Eraserhead.
No, not right.
Eraserhead.
No.
So you have he has a lot. You have the original Dune.
Oh yeah,
no,
Blue Velvet, Wild at Heart.
I think mine's Blue Velvet.
That is a good one.
He's got a lot of stuff like miniseries, music videos, directing TV episodes. Lost Highway, Straight Story, Mulholland Drive TV movie,
Of course,
Mulholland Drive
Peaks.
regular movie,
Twin Peaks
the show, and then there's Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me.
Did I tell my Twin Peaks story on air before?
I don't know.
Yes, you did.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Inland Empire, which was his last feature, right?
I still need to see Inland Empire, Lost Highway, and Twin Peaks.
Oh, and Elephant Man.
And Elephant Man.
He did Elephant
I've
Man.
only seen probably not even half his catalog.
Well,
shame.
Most of his catalog is not feature films.
Yeah, I've seen a number of his shorts, and they're all wild.
What Jack did, that Netflix short, or I don't think it was Netflix, but it was on Netflix.
Yeah. Either way, absolute legend.
Yeah,
the greatest
be
of all,
missed.
greatest to ever do it. David Lynch.
The first time I heard his voice, don't do an impression, Tyler.
What?
I know you're just aching.
You're itching.
The first time
it pains you to not do it.
I saw
No, it really
a
does.
picture of Lynch first.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I heard his name, David Lynch. It's got kind of a good like
Very stoic
ring
name.
to him. Ring to it. And I saw a picture of him. You know, he looked like an auteur. You know, he's got that sort of spiral swoop hair, silver fox.
Yeah.
And then I heard his voice. And I was like, that was not at all what I was expecting.
Yeah.
But it's iconic.
Much like his movies.
Yeah, but it's iconic. Yeah, I guess that's his whole catalog almost.
Yeah.
In terms of his feature films. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
if there ever was one to do it, he certainly did it.
Yeah, no, he will go down in history as a very creative filmmaker.
There was another fun quote from him is like, if you watched a movie on your phone, you haven't watched the movie, Tyler.
I don't like that, but that's one thing we will disagree on.
Yeah. He sometimes would put...
well, let me know when you watch the movie.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Anyways, greatest of all time. David Lynch. Rest in peace.
But I didn't have any really compelling news stories that I found.
What the fuck are you talking about? That's the news story.
Oh.
Don't sell yourself short.
Okay.
You bookend the entire segment with, well, I couldn't find anything.
Well,
but anyways,
all that to say, I didn't have a news story.
Yeah. David Lynch died, but I mean, I guess if there's a news story, I haven't found it.
I'm your host, Outrageous Tyler.
Don't sell yourself short, boy. That's the story.
Yes, that's the story.
Yeah.
I digress.
Joseph?
Well, I also don't have any news stories, but I did go, me and you have a experience together.
Yes, we did.
And then we saw The Brutalist.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, we saw The Brutalist at the Delta Shores Limax.
Yes. Is that the unofficial title that people call it, Limax, or is that just a youth?
Oh, I thought
no. It's kind of colloquialism for it.
Oh, okay.
Because it's not like full scale, full scope. It's still a very large screen, but it doesn't have like the wraparound.
It's like a happy medium.
Yeah, it's bigger than a normal screen. Not quite monster size, just right. She says.
Any bigger would be just gratuitous.
Yeah, you're just showing off at that point. But this particular theater, I've seen a number of movies in, and it has a really good sound system too.
It is very loud.
Yeah, it's like I think it's Dolby equipped, and it's this movie's not shot in Dolby or audio in Dolby. But the only thing I knew about the movie was 3.5 hours long.
Yes,
written and directed by Brady Corbett, has Guy Pearce and Adrian Brody in it, and it's about an architect. The brutalism movement of architectural.
Oh, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Nice.
Brutalism, yeah. And so he's Adrian Brody plays an architect, and he's I didn't even know it was like
not just an architect who escaped the World War II.
Yeah, that part I didn't realize. So I went into it more or less pretty blind. Oh, wait, and then also that everybody says it's fantastic, and it's the next great American epic. So what does that mean to you, to me?
That's basically what I knew about it. Is that
large
it
scale
was Adrian Brody
storytelling,
playing another movie kind of centered around World War II.
Yeah,
except he escapes Europe this time.
Yeah,
and he's from he's not Polish. He's from
Austrian-Hungarian,
from Hungary.
Yeah,
and it takes place in Philadelphia for the most part. The story takes place in Philadelphia.
Yeah, Philly and outside of Philly,
and
Doylestown.
He's a I don't know if he's a renowned architect in his home country,
because he designed the library, the National Library in Budapest.
And so he migrates to America, and he essentially is just trying to survive. When he first gets there, he's shoveling coal, doing like manual labor stuff, and then he gets hired by Guy Pearce's son to do like a small job for his manor.
He's working at his cousin's furniture company first, helping him like make the furniture more modern and looking and more beautiful. And they get hired for a commission to build these bookshelves in a library for this rich guy, the Van Buren family. So,
basically a remodel a library.
Yeah, exactly. And the son surprises the father with it, and then the father comes home right before they're done with the whole thing, and he blows up at him. He's like, "What the fuck do? You come onto my property, you do this without my permission." And your son said so, and it turns into a whole thing.
So that's the conflict. Is that
that's just the first 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
The first 1/10 of the movie.
Yes. And overall, it's kind of like the American, like the classic American dream at the time, because the movie starts with him on a ship arriving in New York.
Yeah.
Through Ellis Island.
It doesn't even tell you any of it either. You're just in the dark, like the what do they call that? The lower deck.
Yeah.
With him.
The poop deck?
No, that's the top deck.
Oh.
And he's just coming out into the brightness of America and seeing the Statue of Liberty looming overhead, and it's like it's really immersive and really fucking really good.
Overall, like it's a really good movie. It's like I really thought it was gonna be like kind of like a slog or a snooze fest or like uninteresting, because of the nature of brutalism is like kind of almost like minimalism, where it's like there isn't, on the surface it doesn't look like there's much going on.
It's not flashy.
It's kind of like the modern art of architecture, I guess, where it's like concrete, smooth edges,
hard angles,
hard corners, lines and stuff, and
almost like abstract shapes put in places you wouldn't expect.
Yeah. And but like everything about it, like the production, the filmmaking, the
score,
the score's fantastic. I think
it's my favorite score of the year.
I put it on my car the other day.
Really?
Yeah.
When you're driving through, if you're driving down a country road with that playing, you're like, I'm on an adventure.
It's like there's like a hopefulness in the first part of the story, because the first part of this, I guess, 2-part story, because divided up by an intermission. The first part is like really solid, like really, really good. I didn't expect it to be as emotional as it was.
Yeah.
Because there's a heartfelt storyline, because his wife is like stuck in Europe still.
Yeah.
While trying to get over, and he's there by himself living with his American cousin
Attila.
And then there's like turmoil within their relationship, because he is married, I think.
Yeah, he's married to a Catholic, and
he wants to get with his cousin.
No, they've converted the cousin and the cousin's wife converted to Catholicism.
Yeah.
And she doesn't like him because he's an immigrant Jew.
Yeah, there's a lot of like prejudice and kind of like stuff like that, like looking down on immigrants. Like there's that aspect of the story. And then he also has his own personal problems.
Yeah. Struggles with drug addiction.
And then obviously it's like a class thing, because he at first starts out.
Someone's here.
Or someone's leaving. I don't know. Anyway,
someone shuffled a deck of cards.
I guess so. Someone blew a raspberry. Because he's an immigrant, and he's coming up from being like very poor. And obviously the Van Burens are just extremely wealthy.
Yeah.
But there's like camaraderie for most of the movie. And
so it's not like a huge sad fest.
No, it's not that bleak.
The first half of the movie, when it was done and lights came up a little bit and the intermission's playing and there's a ticking clock timer down to I think it's like 16 minutes or something like that, 15 minutes. And it all centers around he's trying to get his wife to come to America through letters, and they need to prove, and they're trying to bring over his niece. It's his sister's daughter whose sister passed away. So now they're taking care of his niece, and she's a little...
I thought it was his niece. I thought it was his sister had passed away.
It is. It's his sister who passed away. It's both of their nieces, I guess. But they'd have no papers to tie them together. The records are all shot because the country's torn by war. Jeez. So they're just trying to find a photo of all three of them together. And they find the photo, and that's the still of the intermission, is the photo of him and his wife on his wedding day, and then the niece.
That's awesome.
And you're like, oh, that's so cool. And so now you're instantly I'm engaged. The second half of the movie, the wife's here, and then the dynamic's going to change, you imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So as lights came up, and I'm sitting there, and I'm kind of look over at Joseph, and I'm like, it's really fucking good movie.
Yeah.
In my head, I was like, if the second half lands as hard as the first half is, best of the year. It was. Yeah, it was on trajectory.
It was in contention. I was like, if the same thought. I was like, if this second half is as good as like Dune.
Yeah, Dune might get kicked down to part 2. Yeah, but the second half still didn't have as much of the emotional pathos behind it in a positive way. It was more bleak. There's more conflict. There's more deception. There's a sexual assault subplot happening. Multiple, actually.
Yeah, there's a lot of
multiple.
There's a lot of turns that I did not expect whatsoever.
Yeah, so
and it really catches you off guard.
Yeah, it seems like a sudden shift in a character where you're like, where the fuck did that come from?
Yeah,
and from a lot of people who I've read kind of talk about that turn, there's notes earlier that kind of give you clues that there's something there. And I can see it.
There's some dynamics.
But I'd have to watch it again. And I am happy to watch it again for 3 hours worth of movie.
Yeah, because along with the story is interesting. It was very similar. I don't say very similar, but there was some similarities to There Will Be Blood in terms of the story beats.
Did the intermission, was that effective towards the movie viewing experience? Do you think it was necessary for the story?
Yeah.
Not for the story, but for us
for my
in
own
the theater. Yeah. For my bladder's sake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I ran to the car and I was having an allergy attack in the theater. My eyes were just itchy as fuck. So I ran to the car, put eye drops in, got our special edition little posters, put those in the car, and then came back, drained my bladder, went right back to the theater, and there were still 3 minutes left.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, on top of the aside from the story, just the production of it, the filmmaking of it, and the cinematography is really good. There's a really simple but really effective shot of a camera that's just attached to a front of a car.
Yes.
And it's just of the road and it's driving. Mm-hmm. But it's it's something about it is just so it just looks so good.
Yeah.
I can't.
It reminded me of this, kind of the way that the assassination of Jesse James looks.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Where it draws you in and you get this view of what the American West looked like in its infancy.
Yeah. And I mean, it's shot all on film, and then there are some percentage of it is shot on VistaVision, which we kind of talked about last week.
Yeah.
Which is just a grander scope of composition and framing.
The scope was good.
Yeah. And
casting was good.
And just the editing and the coloring of the whole movie and the music paired with the shots throughout this whole movie, it is all just really well executed.
That's
and
some pretty glowing reviews from both of you guys for the Brutalist.
Yeah. And it's it was just, and that score is so good.
Yeah, it's like a
really simple note.
It's like a French horn, ascending progression that constantly, and then behind it is this violin just constantly marching. Dun, 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 dun.
Really selling me on it.
It is 100% fantastic.
Yeah,
we had to seek it out because it was only playing in a few days in the area. So, which is a shame because I understand why people are not going to want to go see this because of the runtime.
Yeah,
but it's you're getting 2 movies for the price of one, basically.
Yeah.
You get a 90-minute runtime for some fun light fare, whatever, and then you pay a second ticket. You go take a break. Pay a second ticket, and you go see another movie. You're going to pay twice as much as you would for one ticket to the Brutalist.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you get one of the most visually arresting and emotionally heartfelt movies. Maybe not heartfelt, but emotionally effective movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
That also had an ending that I feel like did not match the movie at all.
Oh.
Yeah.
The last 10 minutes.
It's kind of bizarre because the movie spans years. It starts in the 40s and 50s.
About 15 years, I think.
And then it ends in 1980.
Oh, you're right. So it spans about, I think, 10 or 12 years in the main story, and then the last 10 minutes is in like 1980.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it changes to shot on video. It changes the score. It changes to be specific to the era of the 1980s.
Yes. There was another aspect to that where it was like the movie felt like it was filmed in a way in which they changed the format of filming to match the year in which the movie is taking place. Yeah. So like when they get into the 60s, like Hitchcock movies had this thing where it's like kind of like extra clarity. Mm-hmm. There's like a little bit extra clarity, like a little more sharp on the edges. Mm-hmm. And I kind of noticed it like in some scenes where it's like the characters like look like somebody just like bumped up the clarity slider just a little bit on like the film.
It's like when he taps him to come back to the project in that scene where he's going up into the second story of the building or whatever, where he's working as a drafter. And
it just like it felt like it matched like the era in which it's supposed to take place.
Yeah. So for me, easy A+ movie.
Yes.
It's gotta be rewatched again and fully focused on.
I'm like 4.5 stars just because of that ending, and I'm still trying to make sense of it.
It's a 5-star for me.
Really?
I mean that one little bit. It's when the movie's.
What happens at the end?
Well, I'll tell you.
Why?
You just get to see.
Well, because it's kind of hard to describe.
You get to see the legacy of his work, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I mean, the ending was the parts of the story that I didn't understand. I'm gonna chalk that up as I need to watch it again.
Yeah.
So they didn't take it. It wasn't so far out in left field that you're like, oh, one of the characters just started screaming the N-word for no reason.
Oh.
Okay, I'm dropping it down 1.5 stars for that. You know. But some things happen that you're just like, where did that come from and why? But none of that really detracted from the movie for me. It was just like,
because it's like it's that last just 1% of the movie, whereas the rest of the 99% was just everything else.
Correct.
That was fantastic.
So I'm male performance of the year, and Adrian Brody, score of the year for me for this.
Maybe best picture,
maybe best director, maybe best picture, because the other best picture contenders that I have, like my favorites of the year, were like The Substance is still my favorite, Dune Part 2. Trying to think of some other ones that were really high up there for me. But none of those feel like best. This feels like a best picture movie. Like I would not be surprised one iota if it was one for best picture. Granted, I haven't seen Sing Sing or Nickel Boys or a bunch of these other movies that are kind of like in the running.
Emilia Perez.
Fuck. Talk about that later. So,
but yeah, it's A+ movie.
I got nothing else to say on it. It's go see it if it's in theaters near you. Go seek it out. This is going to be an easy 4K repurchase.
I am excited because the attention to detail, not just in the filmmaking, but also in the typography of like the opening credits and the ending credits. Because you have like the side scroll of the opening credits in the beginning.
Yeah, the credits are scrolling sideways.
That is like so it's so well thought out. And then the end credits, it felt like I was looking. I was on top of a building looking down on the credits as they were rolling. It was bizarre.
Very interesting.
And it was made for $10 million.
$10 million.
$10 million. When movies are made, like Red One was $250 million.
Yeah. And I don't know what like if there's any CG, if there's any effects, because they're building a building.
Yeah.
They're building a building on top of a hill.
Yeah.
And
that's the main plot.
Yeah.
After they build the library and the Van Buren father is pissed off, he comes to his senses, he apologizes, he says, I'm sorry, I overreacted, my mother was dying. So I was in an emotional state. Yeah. I want you to build a memorial for her on the top of the hill outside of my house. And the budget is unlimited, basically.
Unlimited.
We want you to, it's your vision, your design. And of course, there's
We want these specific things in the building.
Yeah, so it's all about designing the building, how it's going to be used, the construction of it, the politics behind the construction, working with the city, making it a Christian thing even though he's a Jew. And it's like all that stuff, and it's being designed by an immigrant, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, that's a Jew.
Yes, there's a lot of that in this.
There's a lot of that in that movie.
A lot of that in this movie. So, but it was, 100% fantastic.
Wow.
Really fucking good. Really fucking good. Surprised me and how good it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't have any news stories. All that to say.
Well, no news stories.
I guess I don't have anything interesting to say. So.
Oh, God. I'll just briefly just say that Alien Romulus, it's not anything really worth spending a whole lot of time about, but Fede Alvarez has convinced the studio to redo the CGI on the Ian Holm bot, the face swap Ian Holm android, for home video release and for the streaming release.
For what reason?
Because it was bad.
Oh,
the original release, was not. It didn't look great.
It looked like a TikTok level like face swap filter, and they redid it. And he says, "Oh, they've done it. They made it better." I saw some stills of it. Still doesn't look great.
Yeah.
I'll watch it once I get the home video release because I'm gonna buy that on physical media.
It's somehow worse.
Yeah,
somehow worse.
I just don't like the fact that they use that character for a pivot, like a crucial plot point. Like he's basically the Basil exposition of that movie.
Yeah.
And they could have used him in monitor. They have him in monitors a few times, like on a screen, and it's like that was less distracting. Well, why not do that more? Have him, or have his face obscured from like being injured, so it doesn't look so obvious. But anyways, I just think it's kind of interesting that filmmakers can be like, yeah, we didn't nail it on theatrical release, but we're gonna make it better for the DVD or whatever.
Yeah, that's what George Lucas did.
No,
No,
he did. He made it better.
I mean,
guys, I had a much better idea, but I didn't have time. So now I have time and money, so I'm going to make it a whole lot better for everybody else.
I'm not fundamentally opposed to the idea of like sharpening up CGI, a year after the fact, but like changing the entire parts of the movie or adding whole chunks of pieces into the movie or cutting whole sections out seems wild. Yet they have theatrical release and director's cuts all the time. It's like we've been doing it for decades, so it's not that
studio cuts.
Yeah, it's not that controversial.
No.
So, anyways, are you guys ready to do some stream picks?
Sure.
Movies.
Wanna watch a movie?
Yes, I do.
Disney Plus, HBO Max.
If I don't get the pick, show's over.
I have grown accustomed to Hulu Plus.
Amazon Prime.
I like Netflix.
String picks, movies that we watched on our streaming services this week that you can watch on yours too. Tyler, lead us off.
All right. So I only watched. I watched 2 movies, but I only watched one new one.
New to you or new?
New to me.
Oh,
new
okay.
to me. This is the Kate Blanchett flick, Truth. Have you guys heard of this one?
No.
I don't think so.
Okay, so Truth, I never heard about this because maybe it was before I was really lucid in my youth. But it's about the story of the Killian documents controversy, aka Rathergate. In the days leading up to the 2004 presidential election, when veteran newscaster Dan Rather and CBS News head Mary Mapes choose to air a segment on 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes.
You okay over there?
I don't know why I was
having a stroke.
I don't know why I was having a hard time pronouncing that word.
What you just said is one of the most insane
All right.
things I've ever heard.
Exposing how President Bush avoided being drafted to Vietnam through his father's political advantages, the resulting fallout ultimately cost them their jobs and reputations. So this stars Kate Blanchett and Robert Redford. I was thinking about this after I watched it. I thought I was lukewarm on it. I think mostly because I wasn't really privy on the context of the story. So it wasn't as impactful for me. I have like a huge celebrity crush on Kate Blanchett. So like anything she's in, I'm going to try to watch. The acting is good. But overall, it's a really average movie with no real risk to the characters other than that they lose their jobs. So it's kind of like, yeah, they exposed something about our president, and then they have to fight to have the story be told as it's written.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's not a whole lot of.
How'd you hear about this movie?
It was on Netflix, and it was just on the streaming. I saw Cate Blanchett, and when I see Cate Blanchett, I click.
Why are you smiling like that?
Because
are you telling me the truth right now?
Well, I mean, yeah.
Or was this recommended by the person you've seen naked?
I was being like edged the whole time.
Well, this was recommended by a fan of the show.
Okay, the truth comes out.
Yeah. But yeah.
You're so transparent. I see right through you, Tyler.
I know you do.
You're like a Ziploc.
Yeah, I know. I'm not.
And not the fun kind from Christmas that have designs on there. Just the plain clear ones.
Oh, really? Well, that could be a little of a fun one. But anyway, so yeah, that's Truth. That's streaming on Netflix. I think it's a movie to check out, but I don't think I'll revisit it again. It was just
Dennis Quaid as Dan Rather. Oh no, sorry, Robert Redford as Dan Rather.
Oh wait,
yeah,
maybe I
Robert
have
Redford.
heard of this. It sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I think Robert Redford was really good in it as well. He was pretty solid. And then I watched Fritz the Cat again.
Oh, cool.
On that, I know I've picked that before, but I figured I'd mention it because it wasn't streaming for a while. Now
Yeah,
it is.
I was just
It's
gonna
on Prime.
Oh, cool. It's hard to find for a long time.
Yeah, so it's on Prime, and I'm gonna read the plot because it pretty much is me. In the late 1960s, a pretentious, womanizing young cat drops out of college, starts a riot in Harlem, hits the road with an ex-girlfriend, and gets mixed up with domestic terrorists. I mean, that's pretty much the plot of my life.
Okay.
Who hasn't done?
Minus the 1960s. I am a pretentious, womanizing young cat. So,
okay.
Yeah. This movie, directed by one of my favorite animators, Ralph Bakshi.
My favorite animator. Don't know his name.
I know his name. I just
have to read it.
I have a hard time pronouncing like names. Sue me.
Bakshi. Ralph Bakshi.
Yeah, Ralph Bakshi, who famously also did The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Just great.
I don't think he did both of those.
He did one of them, at least.
He did Lord of the Rings. I know that much. I thought he did The Hobbit. I don't know.
He did Wizards.
I like his style of animation. But Fritz the Cat came out in 1972, and it is controversial. There's a lot of
they don't make them like they used to.
There's a lot of
racial stereotypes.
Yeah, there's a lot of racial stuff
that's
in
a
there.
Jew.
And yeah, I mean, I remember watching this movie for the first time at a friend's house, and I was just amazed that they could make animation like that. Like, because I knew there was South Park, so I knew that there could be adult animation, but not like this. And so I really...
When did this come out?
1972.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, there is a lot of racist stuff in there, but I really like that the main character is a cat, and it's awesome. Go check that out on Amazon Prime.
That racist cat is
awesome. I love the racism.
I don't think Fritz is racist inherently.
No, just the entire production.
Yeah.
I'm not inherently racist. Okay?
Just mostly.
I wasn't born racist.
All right, Joseph.
I just became that way.
What do you got?
I got a few, and then we'll talk about Emilia Perez.
Yeah.
So this is a newer release. It came out at the end of 2024. Kind of a documentary. It's called Cunk on Life.
Cunk
on Life. It's a. She had a show.
Yeah,
on
Philomena Cunk
on Netflix. I mean, she has a history of shows.
Is it that the British girl who plays like a dumbass? Okay.
Yes. And so she had a series on Netflix that came out like a year before, I think. Or
hella funny.
And then this is a feature movie. So it's like one. I thought it was going to be another series, but it's just one movie, and basically she just she's interviewing like experts in whatever fields of like science, physics, historians,
like proper experts,
like actual people, like and just asking the most insane questions that like a child would ask, and like you wouldn't know how to answer it because it's so outlandish.
She's like Sacha Baron Cohen
and
the Ali G show or Borat.
And it's very, very obviously very cheeky. She has a lot of one-liners. Like one of the bigger ones is about, it wasn't from this, but it was from the show. Something like, the most important thing the Egyptians think you could do was die. Because of the pyramids.
I'm in love with her. I swear to God, I wish she could be my wife.
Which was more culturally significant, the Renaissance or Single Ladies by Beyonce? How important are the words in Shakespeare's plays? Could you do it without words? She interviews
I love it.
In the documentary. She interviews like a theologist or someone who just studies religion, and she goes, "Is there a God?" And then he goes, "Yes." And she goes, "Oh, that was quick." And then she's like, so in the Bible said God created the universe. How do we know that Simon didn't create it? Like, what if there was another person named like God's brother Simon? Like, what if Simon just said that God created it? Could he be lying? It's just like something out of left field that just pulls the rug underneath all of these experts because they don't expect something like that to happen.
They've probably been interviewed by this type of person before, and then they kind of know how it's going to go, and they're going to flex their chops or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she says something like, let's see, I have one here. Medicine means we can treat everything from made-up diseases like the plague to modern epidemics like allergicness to bread.
Yeah. But this movie it's short. It's like an hour and 11 minutes. And it's just a fun movie.
What's it called again?
It's just Cunk on Life.
Cunk on Life. Okay.
I think I watched it. Yeah.
You think you watched it?
I think so.
Gosh, it's Cunk on whatever. Cunk on the world. Cunk on
Earth,
history.
Cunk on
Earth.
Okay.
Yeah. That's on Netflix. That's
cool.
very funny. I watched Smile 1. And that was okay.
Just okay?
It was okay. The acting and the writing wasn't great, but everything else was good. I don't quite understand the rules of the Smile Demon, because he like warps your reality, and then I'll spoil alert, I watched Smile 2 as well. And they kind of further explain it in Smile 2, but I'm still like unsure of what, like once you're infected with the smile, the Smile Demon, you're the only one who can see what's it's doing to you and how it warps your like hallucinations or illusions or whatever.
Yeah.
So like you're seeing one thing happen. What is the body doing?
Just stagnant. I think it's just going about his life in like a fugue state.
Because like at the end of Smile 1, she goes to the house. She's like confronting the demon. You think she's winning, and then spoiler. And then she does it. The house is on fire. She leaves. She goes back to Kyle Gallner's house, and then twist. You're still there at the house, and so it's like I can kind of see where that would like she's just dreaming this, right? It's just happening. Because they also allude to the fact that it messes with time, like in the second one especially. And so Smile 1 is okay. Streaming on Netflix?
Peacock?
No, Paramount Plus and Hulu.
Oh, okay.
Smile 2 streaming on also Paramount Plus is where I watched it. Doesn't say that for some reason. Smile 2, much better movie.
It's really good.
Acting is way better. The writing is better. In both these movies, there's a very gratuitous amount of shots where the camera's just going upside down or like
that's like Bruce was talking about.
Flying around. I'm like, all right, take it easy. You don't. I know you have the gear. You don't. You don't have to use it for every shot.
Do you need to see Smile 1 in order to appreciate Smile 2, or are they both a standalone movie?
There's a direct follow up from Smile at the end of Smile 1 to Smile 2, but that's basically the only connection between
It's a good movie to watch back to back like this. It's interesting that Joseph did it like that, but you don't have to.
No, you don't have to. But yeah, Smile 2, much better movie, much better situation, much better story because like she's a singer, and I saw the end coming. Though.
Yeah,
you see it.
It's like, a great concept, though.
It's like
you gotta say,
and like it's the ultimate. It's the
ultimate pass on
for the demon.
Yeah, demon's like, oh yeah. Let's do
How
it.
do I get as many people at the same time?
Yeah, unless she was at the Super Bowl, you couldn't get more.
Yeah, but overall the acting and like the effects were really, really good. And the, I guess, like twists of like certain characters of like the whole time was good. And that's why I don't quite understand the rules.
You don't have to. Just
but it's frustrating.
Enjoy it. And be frustrated.
But I can't be frustrated and enjoy it at the same time.
Oh, yes, you can. That's what you call the cucking. It's edging.
But yeah, I just want to know more about.
Does the phrase cuck chair mean anything to you?
And also, it's a very bleak movie,
unfortunately.
And then it alludes. I feel like it's just gonna be a franchise like Nightmare on Elm Street, because it's just gonna keep going because there's no clear way of like how you stop the chain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So they could just keep going.
Pick anyone in the audience,
and then it's gonna like you have so many people there, so many different stories you can tell.
Exactly.
Like I wasn't there. I was getting popcorn. I walked back in.
I'm so glad I missed that.
Everybody was traumatized. I don't have trauma. And then last night I watched The Rock.
Oh,
on Hulu.
First time?
Yeah.
Whoa.
The Rock.
The Rock.
Be very careful what you say.
The Rock.
What?
Nicolas Cage.
Okay.
Sean Connery.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't because I think there's multiple movies called The Rock, right?
I don't think so.
Okay.
There's an actor. There's an actor named The Rock.
The Sean Connery one was what I was thinking. That was their first time watching it?
Yeah.
Wow.
And of like the Nicolas Cage, this is Jerry Bruckheimer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Con Air was also Jerry Bruckheimer?
Yep.
I feel like I like
this is directed by Michael Bay, produced by Jerry Bruckheimer.
Yeah, but the Jerry Bruckheimer's involved.
Yes.
I think I like Con Air more than The Rock.
Interesting.
I feel like The Rock was like a little long. I feel like a little too long. I like the story of Ed Harris and his reasoning. It was it's justifiable, and I like that whole aspect of it. And then his turn towards the end of the movie, Nicolas Cage's character was like zany, like a restrained zany, especially when you're first introduced to him.
This is his role that I think he fits in the best because like I don't see him as an action hero fighting sort of guy, and he's basically like a pencil pusher in this.
No, he's like a scientist basically.
Yeah, exactly.
He works for the FBI,
and they give him a gun, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know what to do with this,"
Yeah,
and it makes sense.
And Sean Connery, I liked him better when he had the long hair. But it was an entertaining movie for sure. But I think I like Con Air just a little bit more.
Put down the bunny rabbit.
Yeah, I think it's the Cage that I am ranking here.
That's a very fair assessment. If you're ranking Cage, Con Air is much better.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that's on Hulu. And so if you haven't watched that, came out in 1986, directed by Michael Bay, then watch it. You could see the start of Michael Bay's camera movements. He does it all the time. Bad Boys, especially the sweeping camera while the character's turning.
Yeah, the spinning around 360 shot.
The shit just got real.
The helicopter flying overhead shot.
Yeah. And so that's on Hulu. And then Emilia Perez.
Oh fuck.
And then Emilia Perez. I wanted to pull like some of the clips from the songs. But this movie, streaming on Netflix, it's up. It won for best musical comedy, and it has strong like Oscar contention now.
Really?
Yeah.
Because before we went on air, you guys were describing the movie as like it was really bad.
It is really bad.
But it's an Oscar contender.
It's like the Crash of 2024 or 2020. Yeah, 2024.
The best picture Crash.
Like the most insane Oscar nominated or award winning movie ever. Because it won Palme d'Or at Cannes.
Did it really?
It won. I'm pretty sure it won.
Wow.
And yeah. So this is directed by Jacques Audiard. It's a musical that's supposed to take place in Mexico, starring Carla Sofia Gasson, Zoe Saldana, Selena Gomez, Adriana Paz, Edgar Ramirez, and a bunch of other actors who I don't know.
At Cannes, he won the Palme d'Or.
Oh, okay.
Jacques Audiard. He also won the Queer Palm, Best Actress.
What is that?
Best Actress Ensemble Cast for Zoe Saldana, Selena Gomez, Carla Sofia Garcon, and Adriana Paz.
Yeah.
So he didn't like
No.
anti-streaming.
So basically, the plot is Rita, who's Zoe Saldana's character, is a lawyer working for a large law firm, who's more interested in getting criminals out of jail than bringing them into justice, and is hired by Manitas, which is the leader of this cartel in Mexico, and she's trans, so he wants to transition and leave the cartel life essentially, and he's married.
Become a woman.
He's married and has 2 kids, and his wife is Selena Gomez.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's the same actress playing the former self and her true self.
Yeah. They changed their name to Emilia Perez to live life as a woman after getting out of the drug game.
And she fakes the death of the cartel leader.
Yeah, her former self.
And Selena Gomez thinks that he's dead.
Her husband's dead.
And the kids think that their dad is dead.
Yeah.
So for like 4 years after that happens, she's living whatever life. I don't know if she's still a cartel leader.
No.
She still has some power. She's actually in politics. She's like a senator or something in Mexico.
And Selena Gomez is completely
completely
ignorant to the fact that she's in a position of power.
They escaped to Switzerland or something.
Yes. So they put the wife and the 2 kids in like basically like witness protection sort of.
But for
they're like,
criminals.
your husband's life is being threatened, and we don't know 100% if he's dead or not, but he's missing. So you're going to live out in Switzerland until we figure this out.
Okay, so they're completely shielded from any like sort of news.
But the transition of the drug boss is not like news to anybody. It's like she starts living as Emilia Perez. It's a whole new person.
It's happening underground.
No one knows who this is except for Zoe Saldana.
Yeah,
she's her
and the doctors.
Yeah, naturally.
And the doctors.
What? It's a musical.
It's a musical.
It's a musical.
It's a musical,
like a proper musical.
This seems so bizarre.
And I like musicals. Mm-hmm. I enjoy musicals, but the music in this movie is like it sounds like something that when somebody says I hate musicals, this is what I imagine that they think all musicals sound like.
Well, I don't like musicals, so I'm assuming
you'll watch this and go, "Yeah, this is what I think of when I think of musicals."
It's awful. It's really, really terrible, awful music.
Every time that I thought, "Okay, this movie's not that bad," it was because there was long stretches of points between the songs, and then they start singing or something. And I'm like, "Oh, motherfucker, this again."
Oh, they're singing again.
This again. And it's like I'm all for the musical if it's good and it makes sense and the song is necessary to drive the plot forward or it tells you something interesting about the story. So
like
you're not
Fiddler on the Roof.
Fiddler on the Roof, perfect example. And it's really hard to compare one of the greatest musicals of all time to this movie that just came out.
Yeah.
But here I am, and it's not Fiddler. It's nothing even close to that. And I'm going to give an example. I have that clip.
Is it better than Cats?
The music is not better than Cats.
The music's definitely not better than Cats, but I think overall, I felt just as dirty afterwards watching both. And I felt like I was, Joseph said it last week, I felt like I was being pranked.
Yeah.
By the people that are saying this movie's good.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's not. So there's the lawyer is hired by the cartel boss to basically do all the legwork, set up the surgery, set up the hormone therapy, do all the stuff for me so that I can transition.
Yeah.
And he sends her off, because cartel boss he sends her off to other parts of the world to try to find the most world-renowned people to do this sex change operation. And she starts in Bangkok. And here's the song in Bangkok.
This is ridiculous.
Hello, very nice to meet you. I'd like to know about sex change operation.
I see. Men to woman, or woman to men.
Man to woman.
From penis to vagina. Is it for you?
For me?
What would you like to know about it, ma?
It's not.
I want to know it all. What is the protocol?
Yeah. As it goes on and on like that.
It's like, could you at least try to make it sound like a song?
I was gonna say, like, and this is an Oscar contender.
Yes,
it won for best song
at the Golden Globes.
At the Golden Globes, yeah.
That just from that small sample of a clip that I heard, I can't.
Over Wicked, which I haven't seen, but by all accounts I've heard is like vastly better in terms of the musical aspect of the story and the movie.
I think the problem with Wicked, though, they're not original songs because it was from the Broadway play.
But they're both still nominated in the same category.
Oh, wow. So that, admittedly, that part of the song that I just played is the worst of the movie.
Okay.
So the other songs are bad, but they're not that bad.
Yeah,
that was
rough.
cherry picked to show some of the worst. And it's
Selena Gomez's song when she's like in her bedroom, god awful. Her Spanish from everything everywhere else I've read, who like she's not a native speaker, and like
it wasn't distracting to me. But if you're a native speaker, it would make sense, I guess.
There was a comment I read. It was like English people, I can't understand what she's saying, and Spanish people, us either.
That's funny.
There was another.
Oh my god!
One of the other songs, or a moment in a song. Well, the whole song was terrible. Is when she goes to another doctor in Israel, and they're having a conversation.
Yeah, Lady. The song's called like Lady.
Yeah, Lady.
Yeah, and
I know you did a lot of studies.
There's a number of songs too where they do that round robin sort of singing, where one person sings a verse, the other person sings a verse, and they sing their verse together.
Yeah,
and sometimes that's a really impressive song, but that one was distracting.
There was a moment in the song where the writing of the song and the delivery of the lyrics was just like, it felt like they were like really trying to like think about it type of moment. You know, like that meme of the guy going like, think about it.
Yeah.
Because the doctor's saying like, I can change the body, but I can't change the mind. Right.
Yeah.
That's like what he's saying.
Man, that's deep.
And then, she goes, changing the body changes the society. Changing the society changes the soul. Changing the soul changes the society, changes it all. And it's like, what is this? What is this? You think you're like really hammering a point in.
Yeah.
And
it's a head scratcher.
It's just like this really convoluted way of delivering a message in a really terrible musical number.
Can I say this too? You want to go to the three of us?
Oh, yeah.
I it's important to have like trans stories, or like trans representation. We're telling a story specifically about, the trans life and, transitioning and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, we need to know what the other side, that life is like, so you can sympathize with it and sympathize the difficulties that people are going through, just trying to like get society to accept that I feel like a different person in my body. It's admirable. It's respectable. Tell the stories, get them out there. But one of the funniest and most accurate reviews that I saw on Letterboxd says, I support trans rights and trans wrongs. And this is terrible.
Trans wrongs.
Because it's about the trans story doesn't necessarily make doesn't make it a good movie, B doesn't make it entertaining, and C doesn't mean that it's done well.
The subject matter isn't what is a detriment to the movie. It's just it's a bad movie.
Well, the actual like brass tacks of the plot's not what makes it bad. That's a really interesting story.
Yeah. It is.
Drug cartel boss transitioning to live life as a woman and what that means, but it's handled so poorly in my opinion, because after she transitions, she becomes Emilia Perez.
Yeah.
And finds Zoe Saldana's character 4 years later, and they're having this whole conversation. The lawyer doesn't recognize her, and it's like it is a true transformation from before till now. It's like, wow, that is kind of pretty impressive. The face makeup that they put on the actress to get them to look like the mob boss or the cartel boss was like facial scarring and crazy gold teeth and stuff, and you're like, wow, it's unrecognizable when she's presenting as Emilia Perez. But then she becomes like this folk hero to help find the victims of cartel murders
and missing people.
Yeah, like missing people. They're like, oh yeah, these are missing people. Probably they got killed by the cartel and buried in a shallow grave somewhere. We're going to help all the families find the bodies of the victims so they have closure. It's like, bitch, you were the one doing that.
Yeah.
That was you.
I was going to say.
For fucking decades, that was you.
Calling the kettle black.
Ah, God, it's so, they want you to feel like this character is the sympathetic folk hero.
Just because, like, they transitioned.
Yeah, I transitioned, so I'm a new person. It's like, you still lived your life as this other person, and you still were a fucking asshole.
Is the person
murderer.
Is the person actually trans, like the actor?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Which is it's always when I think of that, it's like I'm sure that's not conducive to their mental health struggles and journeys to have them basically made up as a man for the first half of the movie, first third of the movie or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyways, so the whole trans story is not the problem. It's that they want us to be, and it's not just feel bad for them. It's like truly they're a hero now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After the transition.
I'm a good person now.
It's like great right for your wrongs. They don't have any parts of the story where it's like, hey, I feel bad about the things I did before in my past life. You know, this is how I make amends. You know, if they did, it was so offhanded and throwaway.
Just an undeserving redemption arc.
Yes, that's a best way to put it.
Well, the director, I think, is what bothers me the most because he did zero research. He went on to say that, like, I don't need to do research. I know everything I need to know. That's what he said about the movie.
Arrogant asshole.
And it's just like the level of disrespect for like two different worlds. You have the world of Mexico where it's like you know nothing about, or you have whatever knowledge you've already gathered up from living your life just offhandedly, and then the trans story, which is like I feel like it's not a story for someone like that to tell.
Yeah, a straight man who did no research and has no like. There's no what's the word? Advisors, you know, to be able to say, okay, that's accurate to the community. It
felt like music again.
Yes, or Dix the Musical.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a cross between Dix the Musical, the tone deaf nature of music with the like bad presentation of Dix. Because in Dix the Musical, they're doing it on purpose. They're trying to piss you off. Like they're rubbing the wildness of it and the over the top nature of the songs and everything in your face. With Emilia Perez, it's heartfelt and it's played straight and it's trying to pull your heartstrings, and none of it worked for me at all.
Yeah.
You got some comments from Joe. I can't read them.
I saw
right
my
now.
name on the chat, but I didn't look. I'm sure it's disparaging to me.
He says, if I'm judging people based on their native language skills, Tyler would really get it every week on the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Spanish stuff with Selena Gomez didn't bother me at all. I'm sure if it's...
Yeah, I mean, as non-speakers, it's hard to pick up on. I mean, you can just only base it on other people's reactions who are native speakers. And they say it's terrible. So
yeah, and then he also says here, it's not about redemption. Megalomaniacs are narcissists, and they can't see that they were wrong. Harsh dictators doing eye-rolling, but actually good PR is pretty common. Sure, I could see that. This seems like something that would actually happen. Like El Chapo was loved in his community.
Yeah.
But he also did a lot of good for the community after the fact. And it's like, that's what people sometimes think of first with him. So accurate, still not entertaining. And it's like, it's trying to get the audience on board with it too, which I disagree with.
It's a tale as old as time. Like you go back to like the Italian mob bosses in New York.
That's it.
In New Jersey. Like they do great things for their communities. And then in the dark, they're breaking people's legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just say it's not a good movie.
Okay.
It's not a good movie.
I'll co-opt that, and I will say that we are not of that community. So
either.
Yeah. So it's take our reviews with a grain of salt. Mitch Burns, listener to the show, is in the LGBT community, and he gave it 3.5 stars and says, "What an entertaining movie with a stunning performance by 2 female leads. Very creative. It is far from perfect, and it had its fair share of issues, but a memorable story." So above mid-level, good, awesome. So
I don't know, Mitch. That one little sample of the song I just heard.
He says it was far from having no flaws. And then William Lindis, host of the Movie Bears podcast, says 3 stars. Interesting ideas held back by a too brisk pacing. And so like those are 2 people from that are of the community watching the movie from the community. And they are giving it positive reviews, overall positive, not glowing, but overall positive.
Yeah.
And then
I'm gay.
I am not. So my opinion should be taken with a grain of salt about a movie like this. And Joe Bridges gave it 4 stars. He says, this is vastly underhyped, even though it's winning awards. I don't think you'll see a more unique musical, and this one will actually stand the test of time, unlike other musicals of 2024.
Interesting.
And it's
Sounds very divisive.
How many musicals were there in 2024?
Wicked.
2.
I mean, I'm sure there's more, but I would imagine he's probably referencing Wicked because that's the one that's stunning everybody right now.
Yeah.
So I respect that. It was not for me, and I wish I didn't watch it. I wish I wouldn't have spent the time on it, but it was fun to talk about. So please don't cancel us. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. So my streaming picks. I decided to do a throwback and watch a movie that I knew was going to be dated, specifically for the fact that it was going to be a dated movie. For 1995, this is The Net, starring Sandra Bullock, streaming on Netflix. Do you guys know about this movie?
I've heard of it.
I've heard of it, but never seen it, no.
The year is 1995. Internet is becoming a bigger portion of our society.
Okay.
And people don't know what it is. That's the reality.
The internet?
No, they don't. They call it the net.
Huh?
That's what it was. It was colloquially the net.
The net.
Or the web.
Get the net.
Yeah.
The web. Yeah.
What are you doing? I'm on the web.
Yep.
The World Wide Web. The WWW stands for
the WWW.
World Wide Web, you see.
Yeah.
And let's see here. Is
you say dated in what way?
All the terminology, what basically people think the internet is, versus what it really is.
Yeah.
So here, I'll give you the tagline. Says her driver's license, her credit cards, her bank accounts, her identity deleted.
Oh, Jesus.
Angela Bennett is a freelance computer systems analyst who tracks down software viruses. At night, she hooks up with the internet and chats to others surfing the net. While debugging a new high-tech game for a cyber friend, she comes across a top-secret program and becomes the target of a mysterious organization who will stop at nothing to erase her identity and her existence in order to protect the project. So it's like she might have discovered some large-scale like hacking ring that's disguised as an internet security ring being sold to, or internet security program being sold to government agencies. Mm-hmm. And then they make her life a living hell because of it.
Yeah.
Like she's out of the country when it all goes down, and they check her out of the hotel. And then when she goes to the embassy, somebody stole her bag, and she goes to the embassy to get a replacement passport. It's all her information, but the name is changed on it. And so she just signs as the person. She's like, well, yeah, I'm Angela Bennett, but this says Ruth Cruz or whatever.
This really sounds like a 90s movie.
It's super, super 90s. But it also has Jeremy Northam in it, who is one of the guys from Happy Texas, one of the 2 duos from Happy Texas that we reviewed on the show. Dennis Miller, Diane Baker, Ken Howard. There's a couple of people you recognize, but like huge name stars except for Dennis Miller and Sandra Bullock, and she's really good in this. But it's super cheesy, super dated, and it almost feels like a boomer take on the internet.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
but it's like everybody, like people didn't even know what chat rooms were a lot of times back then.
Yeah,
you might have a few friends that were into chat rooms or whatever, but you just didn't know all about it. So it's like she takes a vacation and goes to some beach, and she meets some other guy who's supposedly a cybersecurity guy, and they're talking about this and that and being system analysts and everything. And she's like, "Look at us, what's it come to? We're on a beach and the most beautiful person in the world. I'd rather have my modem here than a margarita."
That line sounds familiar.
It's probably from the trailer.
Yeah.
So it's
had my modem here.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's a really fun movie to watch, like in hindsight, 20 years later.
Yeah.
So that is, I guess that's 30 years. 30 years later.
Yep.
So that's streaming on Netflix. That's The Net from 1995. Good time capsule piece.
Nice.
I watched a movie that I'd never heard of before that none of my friends had logged on Letterboxd from 2022. It's called Crawl Space, directed by L. Gustavo Cooper. After witnessing a brutal murder in a cabin, a man hides in a crawl space while the killers scour the property for a hidden fortune. As they draw nearer, he must decide if the crawl space will be his tomb or the battleground in the fight for survival. So,
awesome.
Yeah, so he's a plumber. He goes off site to fix up someone's like leaky pipes in the cabin, something like that. And he's in the crawl space working on something, and he witnesses a murder through like the vents.
Oh man.
And they know that he's in there, and they think that there's a treasure hidden in the house, and there is. And it's like a mob treasure sort of thing, like a stash house, basically.
Yeah.
So it's starring Henry Thomas, the kid from E.T. is the main character. He's the guy.
Oh.
He's the plumber.
You're
and
just hoping he would die.
We watched the trailer for it. Brianna and I watched the trailer for it. And there's a line that he's talking back to the assailants through the floorboards or whatever. And he's like, "I'm a plumber. I deal with pieces of shit every day like you." And we're
awesome.
like, "Yeah, we're in. We're watching this movie. It's the worst. It's bad."
Oh, it is?
Yes, but it's really fun.
Oh.
It's his total like top tier, like entertaining trash.
Cool.
Heather's reminiscing about The Net. "No one leaves the house. No one has sex anymore. The net is the ultimate condom." Actual lines from the movie. Yes, it's great. No, Joseph Bridges, this is not a remake of the 1980s movie Crawl Space with Klaus Kinski. This is a direct-to-TV, like Walmart bargain basement trash, and it's super fun. So he's basically... There's a line from this movie, too, because he's a retired, some sort of special forces guy, so he starts fashioning weapons out of his, like...
his tools.
He makes, like, pipe bombs and shit like that,
Okay.
and, And so at one point, one of the guys who's up top is like, "You don't get it, boss. This guy's ex-military." He was in the National Guard.
Oh man.
So yeah, it's just really kind of cheesy and dumb, but it's streaming on Paramount Plus, and it's a fun way to pass exactly 90 minutes. And then the last movie I watched of the week is called A Real Pain.
Oh.
Getting a lot of buzz right now.
Mm-hmm.
Written and directed by Jesse Eisenberg. It's also written by somebody else too, but I don't see it here in the credits. Starring Jesse Eisenberg as David Kaplan, Kieran Culkin as Benji Kaplan, or Benjamin, and they're cousins. They're born 3 weeks apart. They may as well be brothers, but they're cousins. This also starring Will Sharp from season 2 of White Lotus, Jennifer Grey, Lisa Sadvoy, a couple of people that you might recognize, but
Jennifer Grey from Dirty Dancing?
I think that's her. Let me see. Yep, that's Jennifer Grey.
Oh.
I didn't even realize it was her until after the fact, but she's just think like a middle-aged woman, because she is a middle-aged woman now.
Oh, okay.
And the plot of this is that they are estranged cousins that used to be best friends, like brothers, and they don't see each other almost anymore. And the one, Jesse Eisenberg, he's kind of put together. He sells ad space on the internet, like internet ads. He works in New York City. He's got a wife and a child. And he's kind of got his life together, but he's very stressed out and very kind of buttoned up and, anxious and nervous. Very Jesse Eisenberg-like. Mm-hmm. And then Kieran Culkin is the kind of nomadic, hippie sort of, not hippie, but like modern, laissez-faire, layabout sort of a cousin. And their grandma Dory died, and she was a Polish refugee in the war, and she left this small town in Poland due to, obviously, the Third Reich coming through.
Yeah, those events.
Yes, those events. And they decide to take
MAGAs, Proud Boys, what have you.
Those guys, yeah. And so the two of them decide to take this guided tour through Poland to basically like a Holocaust memorial tour. And they're going to see concentration camps and the ghettos and learn about the history from their family, from Grandma Dory.
Okay.
And they said they're going to take a small detour at some point and go actually see the village and the building she grew up in.
And it was a real pain.
No, Kieran Culkin is a real pain because he's a fucking prick. He is so...
Oh, so he was the real pain the whole time?
Yes, he was. Yeah. The real pain was the cousin that we found along the way. We got a new person in the chat.
Who?
Monosyllabic. I think that's how it's pronounced. Things I picked up recently. You're discussing a real pain. Yes, we're in streaming picks right now. Tyler's already given his streaming picks, so is Joseph. I'm on mine. And you got here via David Vinch live tag. Cool. Well, welcome to the show. Yeah, we do this every Saturday at 12:30, and we do news in the beginning of the show and then streaming picks at the end of the show, and we're in that now. And then we're going to do the second episode in a bit, which is our review of Flypaper.
Mm-hmm. Flypaper.
So this movie just hit Hulu. It's streaming on Hulu. It's getting a lot of buzz. People are
won at Golden Globes.
Yeah, for like best actor.
I think so.
Kieran Culkin.
I think so.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And it's written and directed by Jesse Eisenberg, which is another kind of part of the story. Mm-hmm. And Kieran Culkin is fantastic in this. He's really good. I think that Jesse Eisenberg is being overshadowed by his performance because the character is more interesting and he's more outspoken and like boisterous. Mm-hmm. And he's like this guy who doesn't censor himself, everybody's a fucking piece of shit. Oh, rich people are fucking stupid and fuck this, fuck that. But he's also very in touch with his emotion and shows it, whether that's good or bad. There's a lot of, and it's a somber sort of tour. These people are touring these sites of tragedy.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's not appreciated. But everybody deals with the trauma and the reflection in their own way. So I'll give you an example. Like they meet up at the airport and you see Jesse Eisenberg's character is calling him constantly. He calls him like 6 times and leaves him voicemails like 6 times. Hey, I'm almost there. I'm on my way. We hit a little traffic. So, Waze said it was going to be, 12:26 and it's actually going to be like 12:37 now. So, don't panic if I'm not there exactly on time. Okay, it's my last message. Hey, buddy, I know I told you it was my last message, but I'm leaving another one because traffic cleared up and, I'll probably be there right at 12:36 now. So he's that character. And then Kieran Culkin he's like, hey, when we get to Poland, I got a surprise for us. Some good shit. And he's like, are you bringing drugs to Poland? Yeah, they don't care about that there. And he's like, yeah, they do. I think they do. We shouldn't do that. And he mailed a brick of weed to himself overseas. So when he gets to the hotel, he's got a package for him. And he's like, there it is. And he's like, let's go smoke some weed in Poland. So nice. He's that type of character. And for my money, I think that Jesse Eisenberg is the better performance in this. His wound up tight character who's like shaking with fear over every social interaction he's played so well. There's a scene where he storms out of dinner and goes back to the hotel and he's shaking while he's walking. And you can see how uncomfortable he is in his skin, the character. And it's like a testament to Jesse Eisenberg's acting. Kieran Culkin is undoubtedly fantastic in this. And between the two of them, it's hard for me to honestly pick between the two. They're both really, really well acted. And the movie is shot in an interesting way too. A lot of classical music. It truly is like a tour of Europe that you're going through, and you're seeing all these scenes and seeing these sights and stuff. Mm-hmm. And every other scene with Kieran Culkin's character, you're like, man, I hate this guy. Like, this guy. Then the next scene, you're like, this guy's pretty great. And the way he delivered the message sucks, but the message was great.
Yeah.
So you're kind of back and forth with it, like the rest of the characters. But he's undoubtedly a magnetic character, and it's performed just fantastically by Kieran Culkin. So, no surprise there. He's really good in everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I almost watched that last night because I saw it was on Hulu. But
it's worth your time.
Yeah, it's hard. Deanna doesn't like Jesse Eisenberg, so yeah.
I think she might like him in this.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
still. He sounds like he's still neurotic and.
Yeah, he's not the main character.
But he's not a know-it-all.
No.
He's not a Lex
I think
Luthor.
it's that. That's what bothered her.
Yeah, the Social Network Eisenberg.
Zombieland as well.
Zombieland. Yeah.
Lex Luthor.
He's
yeah. The actual genius.
He's quiet in this and unassuming, and there's a scene where he's kind of lashing his emotions out about his cousin and how he takes over every room he walks in, but he hates him and he envies him at the same time. And the delivery of that line, that whole monologue was really good. Really good. So, high recommend. I still don't think it's an amazing movie, but the performances are fantastic. I gave it 3.5 stars, bordering on 4. But it was just the performance between the two are amazing, and it was a really tight movie too, not super long. So that's everything I got.
Cool.
Right.
You guys got anything?
No. Rest in peace, David Lynch. He's with us in spirit.
Yes, we have
literally in spirit. I can see him in the corner.
What does he sound like? Don't you dare! Don't you dare!
Well, I'm gonna take a break from my terrible impressions.
Yeah, we can do your
workshop him more.
You can do your bad David Lynch impression next week.
Enough time will happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
You think David Lynch would like that or hate that?
I think he would like it.
I think he would like it. Yeah.
I think he would like me as a person, even.
Yeah.
Well, I don't get that far.
He would say, do something with yourself. Don't just pretend like you're all these different characters.
Get off your phone.
Yeah. Step 1, ban TikTok. Don't worry, tomorrow will be. Step 2, go start a revolution.
Yep.
We want more guitar songs on Instagram.
Okay. Well,
I saw one the other day.
Yeah.
I want another one.
Okay. All right.
You and Jack are in competition now between who can post
Yes!
the most.
I know.
You should collab.
Yes.
All right. Well,
$10 for who.
You should do an Oasis song.
Whoever gives. There you go. You guys do a duet.
I did learn a Wonderwall, so.
Oh God.
I can post that.
Okay, great.
Tender.Dracula.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. So thank you to all of our cool ass yard duties. Those are our subscribers over on Patreon. That's Javier, Heather, Michael, Steven, and Chris. Heather's in the chat. Haven't seen. Oh, Steven's birthday was just the other day too.
Happy birthday, Steven.
Yeah, what's up, buddy? Haven't seen him on the stream for a while, but I know he's listening. And it's here for you. The stream every Saturday, 12:30. We got a new new participation in the chat. Monosyllabic. Very cool. Thanks for stopping over and saying hi. But if you want to watch the more produced version with the leveling and whatnot kind of fixed, and every Monday and every Wednesday, those are released. Gab Chatters on Monday, reviews on Wednesday. Until next time. Thank you to everybody for joining us and everybody in the chat. Follow us later on in today or later on in the week as we review Flypaper, which is Michael, aka Angry Otter's pick from the wheel. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/MCFC podcast, and send us an email, mcfcpodcast@gmail.com.
And follow us on Instagram at Middle Class Film Class. And please leave us a voicemail at 209-283-1716. Kind of had a drought with the voicemails. So, yeah.
And follow us on Twitter at PodcastMCFC and on TikTok for not too much longer.
All right.
See you.
We'll see you next time.
All right, bye.
We here at Middle Class Film Class are huge proponents of Red Note.
Class dismissed.
I gotta get out of here.
The bell doesn't dismiss you. I dismiss you.
You're free to go.
See you next week.
See you later.
See you later.
That's a wrap.
Great show.